Hello everyone, my name is Frank and today I will talk about how we can be lazy as an SEO specialist. I'll share some practical automations with you guys which you can use for yourself. I will give them away as well at the end. So yeah, you can try them for yourself. So my name is Frank, I'm an SEO specialist at Maatwerk Online. We're a small full service agency from Rotterdam. I live in Rotterdam as well, great city, I love it there. It's in the Netherlands, and in my daily task I love to automate stuff that is boring, but as well that makes us as a specialist working way faster than a competitor or be more data driven. So for me, automating stuff really started when OpenAI launched ChatGPT. Because then all of a sudden we had access to a very strong large language model which can create code, can do data analysis, do on-page optimizations for us. It's pretty cool. I already knew how to code in Python a little bit, but with ChatGPT now I can create Python code that can automate certain tasks quite easy and pretty fast as well. And it kind of feels like you're working with some sort of super robotic version. You kind of feel like you're Superman working with ChatGPT, or at least I do when I work with it. So today I'll talk a little bit about how we can automate based on SERP futures, how we can use vector embeddings to optimize in bulk, and as well give you some small tips how you can start your own automation career yourself. So for me, it all started when I started working with scraping the SERP, because the SERP is quite interesting. For example, if we're doing a keyword research, we can use autosuggest, organic results, people also ask, or auto search for, to get new insight of our target audience, how they are searching, get new keywords, stuff that you don't always get out of tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush. So I first started with scraping the SERP with Python, which was really cool because that data we can save to small data sets. So for example, if we want to do something with the 10 organic results, or we want to get the local pack or something else, you can just scrape that and add it to a small data set and then use Python to do something with it. And for me, it all started when I was doing keyword research. I was clustering keywords, and I thought this should be able to do this way faster. And at the time, there were a lot of AI tools, but they weren't really giving the output that I wanted. So then I just started playing with Python a little bit. And in the back of my mind was something called SERP similarity, and that is quite interesting because that's the amount of similarity between two SERPs of two different keywords. And if Google or other search engine is showing the same results for different keywords, that could potentially mean that those keywords could be clustered. And I was thinking, like, why don't we trust Google on this? If Google is showing the same results on different keywords, then probably they should be clustered, and we can automate this part of keyword research. And the cool thing about it, when we do it with Python, it doesn't matter if we got 10, 1,000 or 1,000,000 keywords, Python will do the work for us anyway. So there are no limits on this. So normally we would start with creating a long list, gather all the keywords that we need, put it in a spreadsheet or an Excel, and then just go through it manually. I would personally look at the SERP a lot when I'm doing this, see if two different keywords get the same results. And then when it's finished, we can create a content plan based on it. But the middle part we can do with Python quite easily and pretty fast. So we just start with the long list. Python will run through it and get the SERP results of all those keywords. And then when it gets all the results, it just starts looping through it. And when it sees a certain amount of similarity, it puts them together. And if there's not, it just checks with the next one. And the only question that you kind of have is, what's the sweet spot? I mean, how many URLs need to be similar in the top 10 to cluster them? There's not really a one answer to this. The best I can give you is 3 or 4. Most of the time when you do 3 or 4 similar URLs in the top 10, this is perfect for clustering keywords. But this is something you have to play with if the results isn't what you wanted. So as an input, we put a list of keywords. We let Python do the job, and what we get back is the keywords based on a certain topic. And now we know exactly which keywords we can use on a certain page. And it saves quite a lot of time. When you're doing this with 1,000 keywords, you do it by hand. Maybe it takes 3 hours if you're pretty fast as well. You do it with Python, just 15 minutes. You just have to wait on the script a little bit, but you can fix the mistakes and everything inside of 15 minutes of work, which is way faster than doing this by hand. As well, try this for yourself. Like I said on the last slide, I'll put a QR code, and then on the landing page you can find all the automations in a Google Colab and try it for yourself. It's pretty easy. You can just run the code in the cloud and then just enjoy it. And as well, if you're missing something, just ask ChatGPT or another AI tool. I'm a huge fan of Claude, to add certain features to the script, and then you can really adapt it to your project or your website. So something else I use Python for is scraping people also ask, because this is quite interesting. People also ask questions that people have searched for before in Google, and it kind of gives the intention that there's search volume on those questions, and we can scrape them easily with Python. The only problem then is they're going to be exactly similar questions. Questions are going to be the same, and they're going to have similarity as well, like keywords that I've talked about before. So we can use the earlier script. I've integrated it in this one and cluster all those questions, delete it when there are duplicates, and create a new data set with the questions that we want to answer in a certain block. And then we can make use of the API of ChatGPT so that we can create an all-covering block title for those questions. And the cool thing is, because we're using the ChatGPT API, is that we can give parameters to it so that we can change the behavior of the model a little bit. So in this case, we don't want ChatGPT to be write an all over promising block title. No, just a simple, clean block title. So in this case, we can change the temperature, toppy, and presence penalty, and now ChatGPT will be less creative and create a way better block title. For our blocks. So as an input, we put in again just keywords. We scrape the questions, and what we get back from Python is a block title with the questions that we want to answer inside of that block. And this works very good. Tried it for multiple clients. This was the first one. Was a bit scary, but yeah, it started generating valuable traffic from the start, and as well conversions. So the client was pretty happy. Really became a topical authority. So another thing where we can use the people ask for our current content, because let's be honest, a lot of our websites are already gonna have content, but we can check if our content answers those questions, and if not, we can maybe get some advice. So with this automations, we provide a URL and our main keyword, or we can use the H1 since this is going to be optimized for our main keyword anyway. And then for that main keyword, we can scrape the questions of the people also ask. And then we can just simply ask ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, does this URL answer the content on this URL answers these questions? And if not, can you give us some sort of advice how we can add those questions or that content to our page? So as an input, we got a list of URLs and optionally as well the main keyword. And what we get back is the URLs with a recommendation from ChatGPT, like, hey, you can add this content to this page to make it more valuable. So now I want to talk a little bit about large websites, because large websites are very cool. I'm more of a technical guy, so I love working on large websites. because there's so much to do, and when you optimize something, it can really make an impact on a technical aspect. But the downside of it is kind of lose control, right? I mean, after a while, you don't know if pages link to each other, and yeah, there's got to be some problems with working with them. But there's just something cool that can help us, and that's something called vector embedding. And I just found out about this a while ago, and I wasn't really sure how we can use it. And it's pretty weird as well. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty weird thing. So I asked ChatGPT to explain for me what isn't vector embedding. And yeah, the first sentence is pretty hard. I would recommend watching a video yourself, just checking it out, see what it is. But the second sentence is quite interesting. It's, in simple terms, it's a way to convert complex data, so for example a web page with content, into a numerical format that machines can understand. And yeah, the cool thing about this is when we make a vector embedding over a web page, it now no longer contains content, but it's just it's just numbers, and it's way easier for a large language model to work with. As well with Python, you got some cool integrations, how you can work with it, and it really makes it way more efficient if you're working with your full website, because it doesn't need as much calculating power for a machine. And the cool thing is about this, and I always try to add this image to my to my presentations, because this kind of is Screaming Frog. It is a Screaming Frog cuddling with a robot, something like an AI robot, an AI model. And this basically means Screaming Frog with ChatGPT, because since the beginning of May, there's been an integration in Screaming Frog where we can use the OpenAI API, so we can use ChatGPT on our crawls or even other models that they got, which is pretty cool, because now we can use OpenAI's models, and there is a model as well where we can input text, and what we get back is the vector embedding, which is pretty cool. So now we don't need to do that for ourselves. We can just go to Screaming Frog. This is the most recent version without the JavaScript custom snippets. Now it's integrated in the API part of Screaming Frog, and we can just simply add our API or OpenAI API key, and then we can extract embeddings from page content. And this is quite cool because now in our crawl we're gonna have the website in vector embeddings, which we can use to do other cool stuff with it. So something what we can do with our website is, when it is vector embeddings, is kind of create a chart like this. And I won't recommend doing this yourself, but it's a cool way to kind of see what you can do with vector embeddings. So in this case, we got vector embeddings about movies in the genres action, mystery, and horror. And this could be like a website about movies. And the cool thing is that the vector embeddings, they got stored kind of values about the web page, so that we can cluster them quite easy in certain parts of a website. So in this case, the vector embeddings, when you analyze these with Python, you can see that horror belongs here, action belongs here, and mystery belongs here. And this is a simple thing that we can create with vector embeddings. So what could be quite interesting is if you, let's say for this website, we want to optimize internal linking, we can just group the certain embeddings together, which are quite similar. And that's something which is in the vector embeddings after we use the model of OpenAI. So now we know exactly which pages belong together or are quite similar, and we could potentially link. So what we can do is provide an Excel to Python. Python, we use a certain package to look for similarity between different vector embeddings, and then give us back another Excel, which is pretty cool because now yeah, now we can create internal link opportunities quite fast. And what I use as a similarity score is 0.875. The similarity score is always going to be a number between 0 and 1, and 0.875 for me is the sweet spot. But for every website, this will be a little bit different. If pages are not so similar, still want to get internal link opportunities, you gotta lower this number. And as an input, we can provide a URL with the embedding, and Python will do the job for us. And what we get back is the target URL, the URL where we want to put, where we want to have internal links for, with some source URL. So we know on this URLs we can add internal links to this one. And a cool thing if we're using Python is that we can check the HTML of the page and check if there's not already an internal link on that page, because yeah, then you really can get the new opportunities. And you can play with this as well if you want to have more links on page with an already existing link. You can just change the script a little bit. And another cool thing where we can use vector embeddings for is when we're doing a website migration. So when we're going from an old website to a new website, it doesn't really matter if the domain changes or not. We can use vector embeddings for that. And what we basically do is we provide the old URL, the old website and the new website, all the web pages with all the vector embeddings. And what the script will do for us is look for the most similar pages on the old and new one, and then puts them together. So you know exactly where you have to put a redirect, which kind of makes sense because the content is similar. So as an input, we put in a URL with the embeddings. Again, we do this from the new website and the old website. And then what we get back after Python does its job is the old URL, which needs to be redirected to a new URL. And the script will as well check if the URL doesn't stay the same, because if it stays the same, then yeah, we don't have to provide a redirect. We can just simply delete it from our list. So yeah, it's quite easy to do this when you have got the embeddings from your crawl. So I always say, like, when you want to start automating, can feel a little bit like this, where you're looking at a very high-tech city with all cool stuff happening. I mean, you see all this cool stuff on social media, presentations, as well as blogs, and it can be quite overwhelming. But yeah, really the best advice I can give you if you want to go and automate stuff for yourself is to yeah, just really go and start with doing simple stuff. Start with, let's say, using Frog and put the API of ChatGPT on your crawl and create meta descriptions or title tags, stuff like that. It's small things, but it can really give you the idea that is very valuable when you are automating stuff. And yeah, the kind of steps I always use when I'm trying to create an automation is first spot opportunities. Look at your work, look at doing things that takes lots of time. The first thing I built was clustering because that was just very annoying and it took me quite a lot of time. But as well, just brainstorm with the team, like look for opportunities, and look around, read blogs, and if there are things you think you're capable of using yourself, yeah, start with your research. Then find some sort of a data set that you can use. So for example, if you want to go cluster keywords, you can use the SERP. I mean, we just kind of check the organic results on 2 different keywords. But look for some sort of data set. If you want to do something with the weather, you're going to have the weather as a data set. If you want to do something on your website, you can use vector embeddings of your web page to work at fully scaled projects. And the cool thing is, for almost everything, there's an API these days, and Python is very easy to work with APIs. So yeah, the second step of this, find the data set. And the last one is use a large language model to work out the details, because it can be quite overwhelming. You got this idea, you don't know where to start, especially if you don't have any programming background. Yeah, it's pretty difficult to start somewhere. So you can just put your idea in ChatGPT or another AI tool, and yeah, it will give back an exact way of doing, yeah, of how you should build that automation. And the last thing I want to give you as an advice is use Claude. I mean, I've been trying to do everything with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is quite good. It can do certain stuff, but always when I get stuck, I simply ask it to Claude to fix it. It always does the job in at the first try. And the thing with ChatGPT, you can try to send errors 20 times. It will do some stupid stuff, doesn't really work. Claude fixes it. So when you got you got everything figured out, just provide that to Claude. Ask, hey, can you create something like a Google Colab for this? And then you can use it yourself. So key takeaways from this presentation is I hope I can have kind of helped you to get more of a mindset to automate certain stuff. A reason to do more with Python, because Python is so reliable. I mean, ChatGPT uses this a lot when it does its data analysis, and you just know what you're gonna get when you build something. If it doesn't generate the right output, you just build it wrong, and when you build it right, you know the output is always gonna be good. And as well, a handful of practical automations you can use for yourself. Like I said, on my next slide, there's a QR code. You can scan it yourself and use the automations for yourself. So thank you for watching this video. You can grab the slide deck as well with the automations. And if you enjoyed it, I'm creating way more automations. So you can follow me on X for English, or LinkedIn if you're Dutch. And then I'll keep you posted on next automations. Thank you.